China is calling for Iran to open up the Strait of Hormuz as the U.S. blockade drags on. That blockade escalating economic pressure on Tehran and its financial allies. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is threatening to sanction buyers of Iranian oil, and that includes China.
Two Chinese banks received letters from the U.S. Treasury. I'm not going to identify the banks, but we told them that if we can prove that there is Iranian money flowing through your accounts, then we are willing to put on secondary sanctions.
Aaron MacLean is a CBS News national security analyst and a Marine Corps veteran. He joins us now to discuss this relationship. Aaron, good morning. Tell our viewers more about China's economic relationship with Tehran and what specific outcome Beijing is looking for as it tries to navigate the blockade and Iranian efforts to limit the movement of vessels.
Hey, good morning. China has a long-standing relationship with the Islamic Republic. And the thing to keep in mind is, for as much as Iran benefits from that relationship in its economic dimensions, but also its strategic dimensions, China desperately needs ongoing access to the energy resources in particular that come out of the Strait of Hormuz. China's worldview is very conditioned by the possibility that there may be some kind of crisis in the Pacific in coming years. For example, if China attempts to seize Taiwan, the possibility that it could be in conflict with the United States looms very large in their minds. And in such a scenario, what it fears is encirclement. And encirclement would mean the United States and other countries trying to cut off its access to war-making materials, to energy resources, exactly the kind of stuff it gets out of the Persian Gulf. So having a partner, a friend at least, a country that with which it can tacitly cooperate, like Iran on the Strait, is very important to it, and it needs the Iranian regime to survive.
China and Iran have a strategic 25-year kind of cooperation agreement. There are economic ties, and there are risks for China if it seems to be getting between the U.S. and Iran issue. What are the risks militarily and politically for China?
Well, there are risks aplenty here. I mean, the blockade is a very tense situation. Keep in mind that China has been somewhat more critical of the American blockade of the Strait of Hormuz and of Iranian ports, to speak more precisely, than it has been of Iran over the course of the last several weeks. Because, of course, it's possible and conceivable for China to come to some sort of accommodation with an Iran that has blocked the Strait of Hormuz to global traffic, but is willing to make side deals with different countries. It's easy to imagine China surviving in a scenario like that. But the American blockade, which is enforced impartially, obviously threatens the Chinese economy very acutely. And so what we haven't really seen yet is a crisis come to a head as a consequence of that blockade. What if a Chinese ship, say a Chinese flagship, attempted to run that blockade? What does the United States Navy do in that case? The policy of the blockade is that we would stop the ship one way or the other. Would we attempt to do that? Would we attempt to resolve it through diplomatic means? That's a big open question right now.